Hi Flosstube, it's Nitty Nat Stitches here. It has been a long time since I was spending time on this side of the camera. And so yeah, welcome to Flosstube number 14. What can I say? I've been busy, I've been dealing with things, but I'm really happy to be back here with you. I've got longer hair, more greys and new glasses, so hopefully that will help things along the way. It's been a while, so please forgive me while I try and get back into the swing of things. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that I am here on the land of the Wongal people, on Wongal land, in the Eora Nation, which is to the west of Sydney, still within Sydney, but to the west of the city. Every now and then you'll hear some noise. It's aircraft going overhead. I'm under the flight path for the Sydney airport, and it looks like the planes are that are heading off to Singapore and Indonesia and Malaysia. They're all going overhead today, so that's fun. Beautiful day today. It's a bit dreary, very much getting into gear for spring. It's wet, but the light is perfect. So let's get into showing you all of the beautiful things that I've been stitching while the lighting is great. And considering that the last time I came to you, my last episode was in October, I've been busy. I've been busy stitching, and I've got lots of finishes to show you. Some things that you saw me working on in the last episode, some things that I started and finished since then as well. So it's been a while, almost 10, 11 months since then. So yeah, you're seeing a year of stitching, which is kind of fun. I'll also show you progress on the whips that I've got. You can see a few of them there, and there's a pile of stuff just out of shot. I've been to some retreats, so I'll give you an update on those. And I've got some fantastic plans coming up for me and my stitching as well, coming up in the next month. So let's get into it. Finishes. I have been busy. Now I've got a pile of stuff just down there, and I think the best way to deal with it is just to get into it, right? Let's go. So the first finish I'm going to show you is a little, well, it's same size as my head, a little anthropomorphized gentleman deer. This is called Sir Cuppa, and it's by Veronique Onginge. It's from a very old magazine, a very old edition of a French cross-stitching magazine, Création Croix de Poix. Oh dear, I'm going to have to put something up on the screen already. I can tell that now. I've stitched this on 16 count grey Ada, and I've finished it. It's half finished right now. I've got a little box that I'm going to stick this on as part of the lid, and so it's stuck down on a bit of foam core. It's got a little bit of padding underneath and laced badly around the back. Given that that won't be seen later, I'm not too worried about it. It's very secure. It's just not pretty. All right, so that's cuppa, and I'll bring him up nice and close so you can see the detail on him. I think he's just gorgeous, and he's got a little bit of back stitching, but yeah, really happy with this little fella. Okay, so that's cuppa. All right, where am I going to put all these things? Down is good. All right, in February, I worked on the, oh, it's a bit of mess on that. This is the, I've got it written down. This is called Phoenix for You, and it's by Evertote. And the design is by Modern Folk Embroidery, and it was a stitch along established by Evertote and Roxy Floss Co. Because of the tyranny of distance and getting the cost and the expense of getting materials out from Canada at that time, I ended up stitching it from my stash. So we've got, I used Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colourworks for this one, and I stitched it on a piece of 40 count linen that I had sitting around. So there we go. That is To Phoenix for You, and that was the Salentine's stitch along, which is really cute. Now, one thing that you did see in my last video was stockings were hung, waiting for St. Nick, and it's finished. There we go, and it's finished with the beads and everything. And can we see them? Yes, there they are. Really pretty. And see that really cute little dog lying on the floor there. And the chair. Really happy with that. I have one of the frames, the Mill Hill frames, and that's ready for me to drop it in and get it finished. Fully finished. The next one I worked on was Bullbine and Bees by Blue, well, the next one in my stack, Bullbine and Bees by the Blue Flower, and this was a collaboration with Cottage Garden Threads. I happen to have most of the threads in my stash, which was great. But yeah, we can see those flowers and the bees. I've stitched this on a piece of Paddock Lane Designs. I think it's 32 count, 32 count linen. It's an opalescent linen. I'm not quite sure of the name of this fabric. I've got a lot of hers and I'm never quite sure of the name of them. But it was just right to make those flowers look beautiful, and not sure how I'm going to finish that. Small frame, maybe. Flat fold, maybe. I'll figure it out. I'm not too worried about it. And it's just a nice one to have about, maybe I'll drop it into a card. It's ready for whenever I find the right thing to finish it with. At the start of the year, I did a sampler. The goal was to start and finish a small sampler, a little sampler, in the month of January, and I got it done. I really focused on it and just gave it time. We went away on a holiday, and I took this project along with us, got it started then, and finished it while I was away as well. Anyway, this is cuisine iodé, in other words, salted food, salt kitchen or something like that, iodized cuisine. And it's a little celebration of seafood. That might be nice to put on a notebook cover or something like that. I'm quite happy with it. It is stitched on, looks like a 28 count linen and stitched in DMC. There we are. Cuisine iodé. And this lighting is fantastic. It's really picking up all the detail. Another one that I was working on last video was the Veronique Anginger Christmas tree. I was stitching it on 56 count linen with 1 strand of DMC. So very, very small, very fine work. And I got that finished just before Christmas. And here we are. Isn't that sweet? Ugh. There we are, lots of detail. Yeah, so there was a lot of back stitching in this, which is just fine. I don't mind. A few French knots again. I don't mind. They all help with pulling the image together, and yeah, it really helps it along the way to being finished. Next on the pile is a magazine release that's now released for general purpose, and this is by Mojo Stitches, and this is Sugar Glider. And how cute is this one? I've stitched this on a Zweigart 32 count linen. It's like a petrol blue or something like that. And I'm really thrilled at how these colours just pop. It's quite busy with all of the colour changes going on with the flowers and the bees around that background. It's designed for the bookshelf range from Cottage Garden Threads, and I had all of those colours to hand, with the exception of the body of the Sugar Glider, but I had a really good match with the DMC. So that's the only substitution I've made. Everything else is as charted. And I'm really happy with that. Again, probably a notebook cover or something like that. Just really sweet. I went to the Gathering Stitches retreat in Melbourne in November. I think I briefly spoke about it at the time in the last video, and did some Flosstube updates with Lisa while I was there. And the retreat piece was a little ornament by Fuzzy Fox Designs, and it's stitched on a specially commissioned mint green fabric by Paddock Lane Designs. This is the Pink Heath, which is the floral emblem of Victoria, and it's just beautiful. And it's got itty bitty beads on the flowers, and I really like that. I still haven't decided how I'm going to finish it. It looks like it could be an ornament, but it's a bit large, but we'll see. Fun. Another one that I was working on in the October video was the mystery stitch along, where there was a murder mystery, and we were stitching along and with the release, and it's finished, of course. I didn't have much to go last time, and it was done very quickly afterwards. So there we go. Yay! One of my other big finishes since then has been the Rosella Rests by Mojo Stitches. This is stitched on 32 count Mulberry Crush linen by number 12 Stitch Co. The design is Mojo Stitches, I think I said. I kitted this out with floss from my own stash, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Yeah, there we go. Almost at the end of my finishes pile. There's a few more to go. Last video I showed you I was also stitching on the Veronique J Advent calendar, and I was doing it as a tea towel, and here it is. It's huge. It's a large tea towel, and I'm so pleased. I got this done, finished in June this year, so that was a big Christmas whip that is now finished. How exciting. There we go, and we can come up a bit closer and do a scroll past. There we go. Whew, that was a long way up. I'm short. I stitched a really fun Veronique J piece. It's a piece that I've stitched as a gift for my sister-in-law, and it's got a few bits, random bits and pieces inside the frame. It is fully finished inside a frame. It's one of those frames where you can, it's a light box, and you can, well, not a light box, but a display box. And yeah, it means that you can put things in, switch them out. But this is Veronique J Camellia Sinensis. There we go, Camellia Sinensis. I've also added in a few other little fun details, such as tea strainer, a teapot, a little mug with a teacup hanging out of it, plus some 3D elements. I've made a tea bag here. That's yeah, I took a two-dimensional shape and turned it into a three-dimensional tea bag, which was really fun, tricky, really fun. And another tea bag, and you can see the little tags. And I've also done some slow stitching with some really lovely quilting fabric just off the side. There we go. So yeah, I stitched that on 18 count perforated paper, and with other elements that are stitched on various counts of linen. And the really lovely thing is this little tea bag comes loose. There we go. It's actually set up to be a needle minder if that's what you want. My sister-in-law does not stitch. She's a painter, but she loves tea. So yeah, there we go. And not quite last, it's okay. It's fine. No disasters. It's fine. It didn't break. I was at the retreat for the daisy chain stitches retreat just a couple of weekends ago. I had such a lovely time, and it was my first retreat. Lots of friends of mine had been and raved about it, and I just hadn't been able to get there. I just hadn't been able to get there in previous years due to family commitments, travel commitments, work commitments, choir commitments. And I did get there this time, and I had such a great time. The weather was perfect, company was wonderful, some lovely vendors. And so first of all, I'll show you the finishes that I had from that. I was getting close to a finish on the Blue Flower Night Walked Down, and I just decided I can finish that there. And I did. It's done. There we go. She's big. It's stitched on 18 count Aida. So yeah, it's fine. It's just a ecru Aida, and I'm losing my light. Ecru Aida. Some issues with getting the white to show. So the peacock is supposed to be white, stitched in bamboo. I think that's Gentle Arts bamboo, but it wasn't showing up, so I ended up stitching that one in DMC, just a bit of a shade off, and I'm really happy with how it has all turned out. A few changes, a few customizations as the project went along and I was getting towards the end. I was running out of some of the fancy floss, so I made adaptations, and yeah, it was good, and I'm glad I got to the end and all was well. Then I stitched, I'd been stitching on a little embroidery kit. I've recently left my workplace, and they gave me a voucher to an LNS that is in the city, Morris and Sons, and it's more known for its beautiful knitting supplies and crochet. So it's a yarn store with cross stitch and embroidery, and what else is there? Cross stitch, embroidery and quilting. So really lovely store right in the centre of Sydney. So if you're ever in Sydney and you're looking for where's a good LNS in the city, Morris and Sons is a place to go. Anyway, I got a Corinne Lapierre kit from there, and it's a needle roll, and so I've got it all set up ready for travel. The thing that I love about it is because it's wool felt, if I'm stitching and creating orts or things like that, I can just drop it down on this and off I go. But it's all kitted up and ready for me to travel. I've made a few little modifications with how it's set up. I tend not to need a tape measure, so I didn't put the tape measure in. I do have one, but I just don't need it. I've got my needles and a snag nabbit just there. So the blue ones are a size 26, the red one's a size 28. Instead of scissors, I have my little snips, and I've got them on a little fob. Can you see that? There we go. It was a gift from the lovely Liz Rush, and it's got a little mountain emblem on it, so that means she made it for me for the Stitching in the Mountains retreat. She also gave me a lovely little scissor fob or zipper pull tag with a daisy on it for daisy chain, but I'll show you that later. I've also got a magnetic wand on here as well. So the reason why I wanted to get this all finished, and check this out. There we are, you can see it now. Beautiful. I've done a whole bunch of French knots just in there. So this is a little pin cushion that does Velcro away. Yeah, so I'm going to be traveling in a couple of weeks' time, and I wanted to have something that I could put that's small, light, compact, flat, that I could put my needles and a pair of snips in. Hopefully the airline doesn't take them away from me. And then I'm ready to roll that out on my tray table and get stitching for a very long trip to Europe. And my last finish, I'll just pop that there, my last finish was the retreat piece for Colburn. It's a drum, a daisy chain. So it's in the vineyards. So there's the vineyards. Beautiful sunny day, celebrating the sunny day. Look at that, the daisies up the top. Aren't they sweet? There's the hall where we meet, and those trees are there. It's just beautiful, beautiful area. And stitching together with our friends. There we go, finished off with my initials and 25. We were provided with some fabric, really great instructions for finishing, and materials, not the filling. I filled this with lavender scented crushed walnuts. So it's crushed walnuts with lavender. So it's not just lavender scented, but it's got lavender in it. We got fabric for top and bottom. I switched it out because I thought this fabric was the best. So yes, I put some extra padding in the top, so now I can, oh dear, there we go, sorry about that. Needles, they'll go in very happily. I've got some wadding, cotton wadding and orts in the top. So that's there, and it's just perfect. And I know that I'm not going to be damaging my stitching. So there we go. That's all of my finishes. All right. What was I going to do next? The whips. Yeah, the whips. So been working on a fair bit. Not obviously, you can see I've stitched and finished a bunch of things. Branched out into a little bit of embroidery, which I've been really enjoying. It's just a little bit outside of the the environment of cross stitching, and yeah, really enjoying it, really enjoying the diversity of the work and learning the techniques. So yeah, that's been great. Yeah, whips, let's get into it. So I've got a few large projects that are on the go. I'm not sure how I feel yet about whether or not I'm intending to whip down or whip up. So just start all the bits and pieces that I've got kitted, or I've bought a bunch of charts, and I've got so much floss and fabric. I really can, now that I've finished so much, I can afford to whip up and just work my way down again. I don't know. I haven't decided. What are your plans for 2026? Are you going to whip up or whip down? I have been working on, oh, I nearly lost the needle, on Echoes of a Garden Past by Mojo Stitches. Since you last saw this piece, I have stitched some more of the clouds, I've stitched some of the dress, and then I started stitching the grass underneath. So I'm all over the place with this, and I don't mind. I'm totally fine with that. I am stitching this on a 36 count linen. It's on a Zweigart base. It was the Cold Claw, which is Week Tea by Jay's X Stitch, and I'm stitching it in the Cascade Silks, which are just beautiful, and they just feel amazing to stitch with. They look beautiful on the fabric and in the design. It's just yum, lovely. I would love to continue using these somehow. So yes, that's a future me wish. Let's see how I getting through what I've got first. Yeah, so that's Echoes of a Garden Past by Mojo Stitches. Plans for this one next year, well, it kind of falls into the same style of whip as Night Walked Down. So if it's got a stately lady and animals and flowers, I think where Night Walked Down, when I felt like stitching on Night Walked Down, I'll stitch on Echoes. She's a lovely whip. What else have I been stitching on? It's been pretty quiet stitch-wise. I've just been focusing on a few pieces. I've also been working on Peacock, Unicorn and Badger, and I got a lot done earlier this year. It's been sitting in my bag for a while now, but I'm really happy with how that's looking. It's a good one for taking to a retreat and just sitting and filling stuff in, you know, ahead of the retreat you do, or in quiet time when you're back in your room at night, doing an outline, getting ready for the next day, where you can just fill it in. It's lovely. I wouldn't say mindless stitching, but it's really good stitching where you can relax a bit and and just enjoy the process of stitching. So that's stitched on 40 count Milk and Honey, I think, and it's stitched in DMC with the exception of the green, which is a variegated cotton, and you can kind of see it striping a little bit there. I don't mind. It's it isn't a flat green, so that was what was most important. I'm experimenting a little bit with crossing every stitch, and in some places going out and back, so doing, what is it, the Danish method, out and back. And I kind of like the way that the Danish method softens that mottling, softens the variegation, but still it's there. It's still not a flat color, so I'm fine with that. It helps to add the dimensionality of that background, of that forest. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do for the water. I may use a silk for that and really get that water shimmering. I've got time. I'm a long way from it, and I don't mind. So yeah, lots of DMC in that one, and all good. But yeah, I think I'm maybe 20% through that project. The next whip that I have, I worked on a bit during the year and really pushed it along more recently, is Saga. I know that there are people who are able to finish it, who have finished it. I stitch on so many things, but here we go. This is Saga by Long Dog Samplers. I have now finished the top line of it. So that's the edge, and that's the edge. I am stitching on 40 count linen, and this is, I was going to say murky, but I don't think that's quite right. I've lost the tag. Oh, maybe I've got it in here. Yes, here it is. It is by number 12 Stitch Co, and it is Decrepit, and it's 40 count, and I'm pretty sure I've got enough fabric for this. In fact, I'm 100% sure I've got enough fabric for this. I'm thinking of putting it on a scroll frame so that it's there and visible and to hand, so that getting it out to stitch on it is easier. But there's also Echoes of a Garden Past and Peacock Unicorn Badger that I also want to have present, and I'm keen to finish those too. So I've got one scroll frame that's available. Which one should I put on? Saga, Peacock Unicorn and Badger, or Echoes of a Garden Past? Comment below. They're all different. All different designers. Peacock Unicorn and Badger is full coverage. We've got a Long Dog Sampler, and the other is a elegant lady. And a fancy lady. She's not a Mirabilia or the like. I've still got a couple of Mirabilias, but I haven't touched them. So I'm not going to show them to you. I haven't touched them at all in the last 12 months. So, yeah, oh well. All right, the things on the scroll frames. Here we go. So I have Ranunculus by Veronique Onginge. I'm not going to unscroll it because it takes a bit to do that. Any of you who've ever worked with the Omnic frames will understand what I mean. But yeah, there we go. I'm pretty close to finishing the cross stitches on this. I still have all of the back stitch to do, so I'm really close. I would love to be able to get it finished before I go away, but I've got things I want to do before I go away. Secret stitching that I want to get done before I go away. So my goal is, if not before I go away in a week's time, then by Christmas. So yeah, I can do it. I promise. There we go. So that's Ranunculus by Veronique Onginge. And this was one of her releases this year. She released it, I think, in March or April, and I saw it and I saw those colours. Like, look at that. How incredible is that? And this pot, I'll just bring it up closer. When you're stitching it up that close, because, you know, that's how we see it, right? It doesn't look like much, but then you pull it back here and it sort of pop. Wow. Yeah, so it's this is really interesting, really fascinating to stitch these, because it's a combination of full crosses and half crosses done in single thread, so it becomes very textural and sketch-like, which is exactly what these are. These are botanical sketches, and I'm all for it. I love it. And the last thing on the scroll frame is, of course, St. Andrews. And I got a lot done on it. I think I'm going to have to show you a photograph of where it was at when in January. I basically got to January and had a big motivation to push it along, and I really did. I got it's hard to see now, but the last time you saw it, which was my last whip parade, which might have been September, it was still back here along here. So I've since scrolled it and I've finished that section. I'm now on the next row of pages, and I park my threads, and I find it easier to deal with that way. They're ready to go. All I have to do is thread the needle and I'm stitching. There we go. So we've now got one of the outbuildings, one of the sheds, one of the huts. We've got a window with the awning. There's another one starting. So this is the clubhouse. And we've got more of the fountain. And so we're going to start seeing some of the main characters of this project starting to emerge. My husband's really keen to have me finish this off at St. Andrews. So I need to get things along a lot further maybe I'll have another big summer push. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how far I've got. I'm now 60% complete. So really happy with this. It's been a long time stitching this, and yeah, I'm thrilled with how it's going. All right, so let's talk about the retreat and the retreat haul a little bit more. So it was, let's just put this back because she's heavy. There we go. Daisy chain retreat. There we go. Look at that great little bit of stash that was in the gift bag. The Daisy Chain Retreat is held in the Pacolban Hall in the Hunter Valley. So that's about 2 hours north of Sydney, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Sydney, depending on where in Sydney you're coming from. It's out, I wouldn't say out in the middle of nowhere, but it's definitely out in the country. It's catered, which is a huge relief because there's not much around there. This year they had a coffee cart which came out on one of the mornings, which was so appreciated. It was great. It was great to have that and to have those of us that need our coffee in the morning looked after. So that was wonderful. Yeah, really lovely. Lovely to stitch with friends there. My friend Lisa was not a stall holder there, was not a vendor there this year, which was sad in one sense, but the silver lining is that I got to sit at a table with my friend, and it was like the old days in some early retreats where we would just be sitting next to each other and stitching like crazy and talking with everybody else as well. So yeah, lots of lovely people there. It's always daisy or bee themed, so we got this beautiful, really cute little bee minder. The gift bag was a soft plastic tote bag, so it's going to be fantastic actually for repurposing for future retreats. It's large enough to drop your big frames and things in, your project bags, your stands, your lamps, your bits and pieces, your water bottle, and just kind of have it there, and you can slide it under your table and have it by your feet. It was great. The other vendors that were there was, of course, Daisy Chain, and there was also Willowbrook Threads and Fibres, who was a bag maker, and she had I bought one of her beautiful bags, and I also bought this frame. So this frame I'm going to be using for the Sugar Glider finish, and she had a few of these frames there, and so it's sort of testing out the different coloured woods. And this is Australian red cedar, and it comes with some fixings to either have it being a frame that stands up on its own or that you can hang on a wall. So yeah, this is it's made from salvaged and recycled timbers. So yeah, some really lovely, it's beautifully made. I can see the workmanship in it, and it's really lovely, and it smells good too. Who else was there? Yeah, so Daisy Chain was there, and she had some little bits and pieces, so I bought a cross-stitch key from her. So I think this is a really important piece of kit to have. I've got with a ruler and with a corner guide. So I've got a ruler and I've got a corner guide, but not in the one piece. So this is really great. I can drop this into my fabric box and have it ready to measure up pieces of fabric or whatever. And sort of, you know, you pull fabric out and it's, oh, what size is that? And you can measure it off with those counts. So that's really helpful. She was also selling some Lady Dot Creates rickracs. So I got one in sizzle and one in licorice. There was also other smaller gauge rickracs, but I wanted the large one. So I got those. And Mojo Stitches was there as well. And I shopped up. I got a couple of older charts. So I've got the Notre Dame alphabets, which was a release in 2023. So I won't stitch it as it is. I will use it for the alphabets. It's nice to have some lovely alphabets. So yeah, and just to be able to do little things like labels or names or things like that. I also got the Oh Christmas Tree gift bag, and I'm gifting this to my sister-in-law. Laura, I'll see you soon. This is coming for you. My sister-in-law in England is one of my watchers, one of my viewers, and so I'll be seeing her in a week and a half's time. In fact, 10 days. See you soon, Laura. I also got 4 of the retreat, 4 of Mojo Stitch's marketplace releases. She released 6. I really only wanted these 4. We've got Up in the Boughs, Up in the Cherry Boughs. Those gorgeous birds. And that border looks great fun. Great fun to be had with that. And that is stitched in Weeks Dye Works, Gentle Arts and Classic Colourworks. I've got most of those colours in my stash, and if I don't, I'll just find something that's close. This model was stitched on 36 count serial starter by number 12 Stitch Co. And at 36 count, it fits into an 8 by 10 inch frame. All right, then there is this little small called No Ordinary Cats. Given that we've got Halloween coming up, I think that is just perfect. The model was stitched in Classic Colourworks, Weeks Dye Works, Gentle Arts, and a little bit of DMC. There is Anne Stakes, and Anne stitched these 2 models that were then put away in drawers, and they were not exposed to UV light. And so I saw the originals, and they are just as bright as this. And these are stitched in DMC. And I think they're incredibly sweet. They're different and sweet, and they would make great birth samplers or something like that. And then at the other end of the spectrum for sweet is Simone's Basket. So this is a little French number stitched on French Pear by Number 12 Stitch Co. using Weeks Dye Works, Classic Colourworks and Gentle Art threads. So it looks like there's a bit of a move away from Mojo Stitches, moving away from certainly for these, moving away from the bookshelf range. Yeah, which is fine. She's stitching for all sorts of, rather designing for all different markets. Right, and of course at the Daisy Chain retreat, there were all sorts of little table gifts. Some of them I've already used. There was so a really lovely set of floss cards, floss drops that were made by one of the ladies there, and it was the exact right number that was needed for stitching the project piece, and so I put them into use straight away, and it was just perfect. So thank you, Tioni. They're lovely. Also lovely floss card, vintage floss card by Garden Craft Paths. Jenny from Garden Path Crafts is sitting at my table. Jenny is the other half of Shady Trees Stitches, along with Lisa. Liz, who is an incredible chainmail jeweler. Liz and Cats Creates. She put together this, oh, there we go, really cute little Daisy in 2025, little commemorative zipper pull, and I'll pop that on something somewhere. And there were other little gifts and things like that, but one that I especially want to call out is this beautiful gift that was stitched especially for me by Anna, which was really sweet. Anna, oh, there we go, I'll hide behind it. Anna, like me, loves stitching the Veronique Enginge designs, and she stitched this really sweet little Red Riding Hood. So yeah, it's she designs in, Veronique designs in DMC, so it's very accessible, and yeah, it's a really, really sweet little pillow. So thank you, Anna. I really treasure this, and yeah, it's just so sweet and beautifully made. So that's where I got up to with that. Where am I at? About an hour. There we go. Congratulations if you're sticking around. Plans. So as I've mentioned a few times, I'm traveling. I'm traveling to the UK with my son, celebrating his end of year 11. He's about to go into a really busy year of schooling, year 12. When we return, he'll be straight into classes and straight into year 12. We are traveling to see family in the UK, and then traveling on to, well, I'm traveling up to Edinburgh to visit a friend up there while he spends some more time with family in England. And then we're both traveling to France, and we're going to down the south to Toulouse and Carcassonne, and exploring the countryside down there for close to a week. Then we're going up to Paris and meeting up with my lovely friend Sasha, who's flying out from the United States. And so we're spending a week in Paris together. And we have plans to stitch a sail together. We are sailing a week in Paris. I think I need to put a picture of that up for you. and we gave ourselves permission to start the border so that when we get on the planes, we can just get going. So I have almost closed the border. There we go. I'm stitching this on 32 count linen. It's a Zweigart linen. It's what I had in stash, and because it's Veronique Anjouge, it's all in DMC. Wonderful. After Paris, Felix and I are going to Amsterdam and spending 4 nights there, and I'm going to be working and starting a little Mojo Stitches tile design that's based on a little blue tile, and it's really sweet and just screams out Netherlands, right? I'll pop a photograph in there. So that's the work that I've got ahead of me. The other stuff that's about to start up is the Brighter Mart sampler by Katie Strawn, and with a bit of luck, I'll be able to catch up once I return. So the first part starts next week, a few days before I leave. I've done some. The amazing thing about this, and if you look really closely down here, you can see that it's reversed. So be bold, be not too bold. And then it's in the reverse. So it's fully reversed. I have never done anything like that. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to challenge myself that way. I got the kit. It's in this little box down there, so it's all there. I've strung it up on a little frame, so it's ready to go. I grid because I don't trust myself. When I trust myself too much, then I make a mistake, and I really don't want to make a mistake with the Brighter Mart sampler, so I'm giving myself the best chance of success. It's not pretty, but it will work. So that's the Brighter Mart sampler. Other starts that I will have include a little subscription box that I have signed up to by Simone Lapierre. Oh, I'll have to get back to you and put down. It's Lapierre. Oh, I know. I can look at it. Corinne Lapierre. So it's a little seasonal box, and this is a subscription box that I got. So Corinne Lapierre, there you go. She is a really, really clever embroidery designer, and the box comes with everything. It's the bag, the design that you do have to trace out, which is fine. Another little really sweet little needle roll, and it's and all of the embroidery floss that's there as well. So it's stitched in the DMC Eco Vita range. Let me see, have I got any of that here? Yes. Oh, it's totally sweet. So it comes in a little box. I'm actually stitching this little guy right now. Really sweet little box with a needle that I just dropped, some DMC, but then also this lovely DMC Ecovita wool that you use for the embroidery on the bag. There's also a sweet little button. Check that out. How cute. Oh, it's blurry. It'll be fine. And also there was a chalk pencil to be able to do the tracing as well, which I've been using for other projects. So I'll need to make sure that I dig that out and get that. Will I be taking this with me? Probably not. I've got enough to stitch on. And when we're in Paris, we're also visiting some of the beautiful embroidery shops that are there in Paris, and shopping along the way. So I'm leaving space in my suitcase to be able to bring some really lovely things back. So that's it from me. It's been quite newsy. It's now 1:15 in the afternoon. The light's going. It's lunchtime. I'm hungry. I need to clean up the disaster that is my my floor. Oh my gosh, I forgot. One of the vendors at Daisy Chain was Tazia bags, and I bought from her as I was thinking about packing up my projects. One of the things that Taryn from Tazia does so well are these beautiful finished project rolls. So you might have seen Gutermann do one, and it's small. It's about half the size, and it's only about that wide. And this is large enough for a fat quarter, an Australian fat quarter. And it's beautifully designed. I've got things in here and I don't want to unscroll it to open it up, but it's beautifully made with lovely heavy cotton, heavy linen fabric, and on the outside a nice pale colour on the inside, so that there's no risk of any dyes being transferred to your stitching as well. So she really does think about the work that she does and how it has the potential to impact negatively on the beautiful work that you as a stitcher does. And so I really enjoyed talking with Taryn about the work, the beautiful bags that she makes, the lovely stitching setup, like stitches, mats and things like that she also makes. I didn't need any of those, but I did need a good project roll, and I'm so glad to finally have one. So yes, I've got, obviously you've seen all of the finishes that I have. They all squeeze into this, and so I almost think I have to do some fully finishing work before I finish anything more. It's not going to happen. I'm a process stitcher. I just love stitching. And yeah. All right. I can sense that I'm rambling now. So I think it's a really good time to wish you all a very lovely week. Thank you so much for spending time with me here today. I am hoping to come to you a little bit more frequently. I know I've said that in the past, but I really am going to try. I'm hoping to be able to do a little bit of vlogging while I'm traveling. Please comment if that is something that you would like. It will be a little bit patchy. My son doesn't like being on camera, which is just fine. That's a very normal thing for a teenager to want to have happen. So it will be just me. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to traveling and seeing friends that I haven't seen in a long time, and seeing some places for the first time, and returning to some places that I've loved to be in as well. So come with me on that journey. I will be stitching along the way. So yeah, I hope to have some frequent updates while I'm away. Yeah, that'll be fun. Thanks so much, friends, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye-bye.